Hey, 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 it is Funny Like a Clown podcast. I am your host, Dennis Wirth, out of Gardner, little town out of Beantown. That's Boston, East Coast. Episode 45, December 29th, 2019. We are here to discuss controversial comic Louie C.K. As always, Funny Like a Clown podcast is brought to you by G Vegas Buffalo Sauce for the spicy, sweet, savory taste of game time. There is only one G Vegas available at www.gvegas.webs.com. Check it out. You want homemade? You want go green? No chemicals? You want fresh? You want homemade? You check out G Vegas Buffalo Sauce. All right, to discuss Louie C.K., I have on the phone Boston comedian Tommy O'Deed. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the spot.
All right, well, thank you for being on, and I guess we'll get right to it. He's a very controversial comedian. What made you choose Louie C.K. to discuss?
I feel for the guy,
Yeah,
without
right.
jumping into like what happened to the guy, but when you get right down to it, there's guys who are joke writers, set up punch. That does the heavy lifting. But then there's guys that just have the ability to talk in long form and pepper that with laughs. I come from like a tradition of, like Irish storytellers.
Storytellers, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah. Like I'm long form. I think I've written 3 actual jokes, and I'm in my 5th year. You know what I mean?
Well, they say the real life stuff's funnier than anything you could make up by a long shot. So stories are real life stuff.
Absolutely. And Louis, he's such a craftsman. He's been at it for so long. Sometimes a guy like that, I look at him, it discourages me a little bit. Like, Jesus Christ, I'm going to be 40.
You got a ways to go when you see talent like that, right?
Yeah, you can relate. I mean, I'm sure you've been at it a little longer than me.
Oh, sure, yeah, geez. I worked with Lenny Clark, and I was just like, wow, I got a ways to go. You think you're getting there, then you work with a big name like that, and they make it look so effortless, and you're up there trying so hard, and to them it's just effortless.
Right. Or you'll go on and you'll be like, whoa, I had a great set. And someone like that, a destroyer, will follow you, and it humbles you,
All right, so let's see. He won 6-time Primetime Emmy Awards for his show Louie, the Chris Rock Show, and his comedy specials Live at the Beacon Theater and Oh My God. And he won 2 Grammy Awards. That's top of the top for Best Comedy Album. I mean, do you have a favorite show of his or special or anything?
I love all of his specials, but what's really influenced me is his filmmaking ability as far as, like, his cinematography.
That seemed to be his true love in life, yeah. If you really read up about the guy, his true love was television.
I recently finally got into my bucket list, and I'm producing my own sketch comedy stuff now.
There you go.
And I'm having a blast at it. And I look at a guy like him, and I think, okay, I got to learn about all these different lenses. I got to learn about lighting, and it breaks my heart because I went to go look at his show because it's so beautifully shot, and he edits himself on his MacBook, and that really inspires me. Like,
he directs it, writes it, edits it, he does the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, I've reached a point in my stand-up journey where I'm all done looking at the kids across the room like, oh, they got that room and they won't book me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to get my own room.
Yeah, it's a crazy scene. That's how you got to be. You can't, it's... I was like that, too. You won't book me in your room, fuck you, I'll open my own room. You won't put me on your TV show, fuck you, I'll start my own TV show. You can't wait around for someone else to make you a star, right?
Absolutely not. And I'm just striking out and having fun and, I mean, the bread and butter in the whole thing, the craft is the stand-up. That's where I get my rocks off the most. But in video production, I love writing and directing and editing it because there's a sense of control, guaranteed control that you don't have on stage.
There's nothing like a live crowd that really pumps you up and gets you going. But I mean,
absolutely not.
If you do video, you can always go back to it. Years from now, you can go back and watch it and still get that thrill where, every night's different in stand-up. Yeah.
What I'm hoping to do with, because I just launched a new YouTube channel. It's called DNN, Dirt Neck News. So it's kind of like a mock news network with all sorts of silliness, and I want to incorporate all my comic friends into it moving into 2020. And my hope is, because you know how it is, you can post all the goddamn flyers of yourself you want on social media. Chances are you're not going to get people to come out and see you.
It's hit or miss for sure, yeah.
But my thought is, if you get them hip to the, oh wow, these videos are funny. Oh shit, he's going to be down the street doing a barroom show. Let's go, fuck it. You know, it's I look at it and hope it's a way to.
That's a good point. You know, I did
move up the food chain. You know,
Ralphie Joyle told me at our age, the Tonight Show, they're looking for the next young 20-year-old up and comic. They're not looking for old guys like us. So if you're gonna make a name of yourself, the internet's the way to go. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking all self-produced. Like, I know a guy who made a horrible. I'm not gonna name names, but he did a fucking horrific job. So sloppy, poorly acted, edited like dog shit. And he invested $3,000 and he got it on Amazon Prime. Now they don't push it, but to the average people at home, they don't realize Amazon Prime is no different than posting on YouTube. It just pops up on the same flat screen you watch hockey on.
Right,
you know what I mean? So now you have, in quotes, a TV show. You know?
I mean, if you got a video that goes viral, I mean, that's I mean, I went out to Vegas and all the billboards said, they're advertising, this many YouTube hits. Everybody's going, how many YouTube hits they got. That's a big thing.
Absolutely, and it's building it is hard and slow, and I don't know the shortcuts. And what I'm actually doing is I'm incorporating some younger people that have a better handle on it. That can take the content and know how to push it better than Uncle Old School.
All right, so let's get back to Louie here. Let's see. Rolling Stone ranked his special "Shameless" as the number 3 best special stand-up of all time. Now, would you agree with that?
Yeah, man, it's up there.
I mean that's putting you in with the Carlins and the Pryors. I mean, you'd put him in that category?
I would put him with Chappelle and Pryor.
I think of this generation's comics, I mean, our generation was more, Carlin, Pryor, Steve Martin, Rodney Dangerfield. But, I mean, I think of this generation, I think he's at the top of that list with the Dave Chappelles, the Chris Rocks, the, Jerry Seinfelds, all those big names.
Oh, 100%. Like, look who he was acquainted with. He hung out with Jerry Seinfeld. You're going to be really good.
He opened for Jerry, yeah, he did. He opened for Jerry for a while.
I heard Seinfeld say, someone asked him, if you don't like someone's act, can you be friends with them? And he paused for a long time, and then he went, no.
All right, there it is. Let's see, Rolling Stone always had him the number 4 best comic of all time. Now, would you put that in? See, I could go of this generation. I could definitely put him in the number 4 best comic of this generation. But of all time, I mean, that's saying a lot, I think.
Well, I think of it as, the craft progresses. Like when we were young, Eddie Murphy Delirious had me on the floor.
Right.
And now it's kind of over time. It's
faded off a little bit,
right? The same impact.
I guess you got to go by generation with that, but let's see.
I mean, he's one of the great white hopes,
For sure, yeah. He began his career as a writer for Letterman, Conan, and Dana Carvey and Chris Rock. What do you think about being a writer in comedy?
It's not for me. I'm not interested in it personally.
Yeah, I would think if you had a really good joke, you wouldn't want to give it to someone else. You'd want to keep it for yourself. But as you know, we're not making a lot of money in comedy. If somebody's offering you a paycheck to write for them, I guess you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, but the concept, the idea of locking myself into a windowless room and having to crank out 44 jokes by showtime sounds pretty daunting.
It's a stepping stone too. You use that as a window to do something yourself, I guess. But I just couldn't see having a killer routine and wanting to give it to somebody else. I'd be like, I'll give them all my B material, but I'm keeping the A material for myself.
Absolutely, and chances are what I write might not translate to somebody else.
That's a good point, yeah. Nobody can be your style. You get your own style and stuff for someone else to be.
Like, I'm a firm believer in it's not only what you say, it's how you say it.
Oh, the delivery, yeah, sure. Stage presence, delivery, it's a big part of comedy, yeah.
Yeah, and I tell any brand new comic, the open mic is, I'm like, what you're doing, this is acting. And you have to put an act together you can turn on up there.
Right. You can't just tell a story. You got to sell a story. Don't tell it, sell it.
Exactly, and own it. You know.
Right.
Deflection is something I've gotten better at in the last couple of years. A joke doesn't land. You know, just address it. Look right at him and go, "Wow, you fucking hated that one."
It's
Bring
an art.
attention.
It's an art form for sure. All right. This is
so
where.
rewarding.
This is where he really became a genius here, and I think this is the genius of Louie C.K. He was one of the first comics to release his specials and his ticket sales directly through his own website. So now he got rid of Ticketmaster, and he cut the cost there, where Ticketmaster takes a portion of his tickets. He got rid of, printing up DVDs and making art for, and he's releasing this through his website, where you just download it, don't cost him nothing. And, he's removing Ticketmaster. He was one of the first now everybody's doing it because it's so cost effective. But, I mean, what do you think of him being the pioneer of that?
He seems like he's a pioneer in anything, He's a guy who probably, just like I was saying, why do I want to get in your video production? Fuck it, I'll just do my own. I'll learn it.
Right,
You see, anything I've ever done and got a handle on started out as pure fantasy in my head.
The dream, yeah. It's a dream at first.
No idea how to start.
Make it a reality.
But he's such a smart guy, and I think, another part of, me really enjoying him and appreciating him is he came up through Boston in the same, place that I'm coming
same
up.
area we're doing it in, right, yeah.
He came up in the comedy studio back in the day when he had hair.
Yeah, I make that point. We're playing a lot of the same stages Dane Cook and Louie C.K., a lot of Boston legends used to play. It's kind of cool just thinking, back before they were somebody, they played the same stages as us.
Absolutely. And I'll see somebody move up the ladder and book something, and someone on the side will go, "Oh, man, what the fuck? How come he or she got that?" And I'm like, don't be jealous. Just now you know it can be done.
Right, yeah, right.
If you really think, hey, that goofball can do it, I can do it.
Don't wait for someone else to make you a star. Make yourself a star, right?
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I want to produce, my own, shoot a special in a club, a few different angles, mic the crowd,
sure,
and just have at it. Keep it away.
That's what gets you ahead. All right, let's get into his directing here. He directed Tomorrow Night and Pootie Tang. Did you happen to see any of those?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
Pootie Tang was cool, but he was really upset with the final product. Because they went in afterwards and cut it all to hell.
Oh, they did that to George Lucas, too. Then when he made Star Wars, he made him go back and fix it.
Well, that's the thing when you rely on that studio money,
Yeah, they get the final say in everything. He had support.
A guy like him, he's achieved such success that he can invest his own money.
Well, now he has, right. I mean, he's reached that levels, like George Lucas did at Star Wars, Once that went big, he could pretty much dictate his own terms.
Absolutely. I mean, that sounds easy on paper. That's a tall order.
Oh, yeah. When you're first starting out, you got to play by the rules. It's somebody else's game. It ain't yours yet,
Right. I mean, this is rude. Like, every new micer is like, oh, no, I got a podcast. It's like, all right, but that's not what you're here to do.
Right.
You're here to learn the craft. I podcast. I left the In the Gutter podcast with Kenny, Sean, and Big D.
Right.
Started a new podcast called The Bostonian and the Beast with me and an older transgender Italian lady.
Where can people tune that in at?
What's that?
Where can people tune that in at if they want to catch it?
You could go to, if you go on YouTube, my YouTube channel is DNN, Dirt Neck News.
Okay.
And there's episodes up on there. We just put up the third episode. It's brand new, but we've worked the bugs out where it's really starting to flow now.
Yeah, it takes a while to get going. Took me a little bit to get my first 10. It took me to figure out till I got rolling here.
Yeah, but I'm trying to do things a little differently. Like, I have an intro with graphics and footage of us and music that leads into it.
Right.
When we go to a break, so I can go take a leak or smoke a cigarette, I just have the engineer play one of my 2-minute sketches.
One of your bits. There you go. Sure.
And we're not rocking live either. We're just going. We're just recording it, and then I can whittle things
That's what
down
I do too. I pre-record it, right? Let's see. Louie had supporting roles in American Hustle, Blue Jasmine, and Trumbo. Did you see any of those?
You know, I spotted him here and there in movies. You know, I forget what movie it was. He was just like a cop standing next to a cement truck. I forget what the fuck it was. But little bits like that, I don't know. Yeah, that's cool. But
That's how they all started. I mean, yeah, Chris Rock had a small what? He was parking cars in one of the Beverly Hills Cop movies. I mean, you got to start wet your feet.
Absolutely. You know, I was in a movie that came out. My team just got cut, but whatever. It was a fun experience.
Sure.
And being around the filmmaker for a couple of years, 2-3 years, I learned a lot. You know, I learned, you know, hey, if he can make a movie with $30 grand and get it on Netflix, I can do the same thing.
You can do the same. Why not? I just did a short film about Sam Kinison for Preacher to Prophet, a Sam Kinison story, and it's yeah, I've gotten way more hits than I thought when I made it, and I mean, I had a blast making it. I made it for me. It was, I mean,
that's awesome.
It's a stepping stone to my next project, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. He did the Louie TV series. Well, what do you remember about Louie TV? It was on FX. What do you remember about his TV series?
That was Louie, right? Just that was the most artistic thing I think he ever did.
Right.
It was just shot so well. The music, the way it was scored. He had so many, like, you know, Robin Williams popped up.
Joan Rivers, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, Dane Cook, and they had it out. I think it's brilliant, and it breaks my heart that, like, I can't go watch that anymore.
Can't go back and watch it. Well, you know, you mentioned about people editing stuff out, and he didn't make much money doing that, he freely admitted. But the reason he took not much money to do it, because FX never questioned anything. He handed them the DVD, and they played it. They didn't cut anything, they didn't watch, they just played whatever he handed them. And that was why he took less money, and he said he'd make it up for on his live gigs, you know?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, when he's dead and gone, it's all about the work and what he left behind.
I remember George Lucas saying he made a 15-minute movie. They cut out 2 minutes. He's like, well, if I made a 15-minute and you cut out 2 minutes, what's the point, you know? I mean, just because they can, they said, you know?
Yeah.
But I think he was best remembered for Louie. That TV series was really groundbreaking for him, yeah.
It really was. It was shot so well, and it's something that I wish I could go watch right now, because since I started doing production, you know, like video production,
right.
I watch everything, all movies and shows, and it with a different eye now. I'm watching everything shot for shot.
I did the TV show, The Comedy Kitchen, and that kind of ruined TV for me, because before I just watched it, and now when I'm looking for camera angles, I'm looking for light angles, it's like, well, you start looking for different stuff when you watch TV now after you get into it, you know, producing your own stuff.
Right. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager and I started smoking weed, I couldn't watch Three's Company anymore because I knew it was a room with 3 walls and a laugh track.
It ruined it for you, right?
But here's the thing. It's the same thing with stand-up. The first time I went to a stand-up show was at Next Comedy Stop. The magic worked on me, right?
Yeah.
Going into my 5th year now, I put it like this. Once you know how a sausage is really made, you still like sausage, but you'll never enjoy it.
Yeah, that's some pretty gross stuff.
The magic will never be there again.
You know it's bad, but you still eat it anyway.
Absolutely.
He went on to do a web series, Horace and Pete. Do you remember watching that? Or I don't remember hearing about it, but do you remember anything about his web series? No? All right. After FX, he did Horace and Pete was a web series. He created other shows for FX, Baskets and Better Things. He voiced animated film The Secret Life of Pets. Did you happen to see any of those, or?
No, I didn't. My main things with him were, you know, his specials, and like I said, I was always enamored with him because he came up through the same circuit that I'm trying to, you know, learn in. You know what I mean?
All right, well, I guess here's the thing everybody wants us to talk about, and I guess we'll get into it now. In 2017, he admitted to several indecent sexual misconducts with women, and you know, we'll talk about whether it was right or wrong, but they pulled his movie that was coming out, I Love You, Daddy, and they stopped all of his concerts because of the sexual misconduct charges. I mean, what are your opinion on those charges of him?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. There's something going on in the background, but I still got you.
Oh, shit, it was cutting out.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm good now.
So in 2017, he admitted to indecent sexual misconduct. Well, what do you remember hearing about that, or your opinion on it?
about it prior to that.
Okay.
You know, for a year or so leading into it, and
Yeah.
then when the story broke, and he came out and admitted it, I felt bad for the guy. You know, I heard him say he lost $72 million in 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. You don't know the figures these guys are making. I mean, it's just that's. I mean, he's got a lot of money. I'm sure he's not hurting, but I mean, 72 million, 72 million, right?
Absolutely.
But I mean,
I think,
from his point of view, he said that he never exposed himself to anyone without asking permission first.
He didn't. He didn't.
Right, but
know?
I mean, at the same time, you know, they're saying you shouldn't put a woman in that position where she has to choose. So, what's your opinion on either one of those?
It's a tough call because you don't know what the relationship was, or friendship-wise, between them. Like what went on between them. You know, that led him to believe he could possibly do that. You know, or he's just that much of a secret monster. You know, it is kind of.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: if a girl comes in and she wants to get a role in a movie, and the director says, "I'll give you the role, but you have to sleep with me," and she chooses to sleep with him, now is that her choice, or is it he shouldn't have put that in her in the position to choose? I mean, she could have said no; it was her choice to do it.
That's just business, you know.
All right, so you think it's her choice? If she chooses to do it, then that's the business she chose.
I think it all goes case by case, you know.
Okay.
Who can handle what, you know?
Well, it was actually in 2015. It was Roseanne Barr who actually called out him and some other. She said that some of the biggest names in stand-up comedy were about to get busted for sexual misconduct, and she named Louie because of all the rumors she had heard about him. And then in 2017, 5 women actually came out with misconduct accusations. And I mean, from what I read, was he asked, would it be okay if I jerk off in front of you? And they're thinking he's joking. He's not even serious. Like, yeah, whatever, go ahead. Then he actually did it, and they're in shock. But these girls were laughing at it. They were laughing about it. They thought it was funny. And then later out, they come out and accuse, if you're laughing about it, how offended are you,
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say for sure, but I've heard people say that they changed their tune as the years went on. Right after the incident, they went down from the hotel. I think it was in Montreal.
Yeah.
Festival was one of them.
Right.
And they were laughing and joking about it. But the only thing to me that I thought it got hairy is when the rumors started getting out. Now, if he was really hindering their career by being a powerful guy in the industry, then that's pretty fucked up. However,
well, then he's using his position, right? Yeah.
Who wants that to get out, though? You know what I mean? It's.
So I mean, but I mean, he never forced anybody to do anything. He gave them the choice, and they chose to do it. So you could say.
I think what happened to him was so. The punishment did not.
He shouldn't have used his power to give them a choice like that. They should have been booked on their talent, not whether or not they slept with him. That was where he made, using his power to put him in that position where they had to choose, I guess, was bigger than what he actually did because they made the choice to go ahead and, let him do it.
But at the same time, there's a familiarity. These people are co-workers. You know what I mean? That's what outsiders don't understand is, as comics, we're around each other a lot.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of the same women throughout the week when I'm out doing my thing.
Right.
And sure, in his scope was so much larger being him. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't think the punishment fit the crime at all.
Yeah, Sarah Silverman was a big friend of his, and they asked Sarah Silverman about it, and she said, sometimes I'd be like, yeah, that'd be kind of weird to watch. Go ahead and do it. I'll get a kick out of that. Then other times he'd ask, she'd be like, no, you're a fucking sick fuck. Get away from me. I don't want nothing to do with that. So she kind of said it was her mood at the time, whether she wanted to see it or not, But I mean, if you're a guy and if you're a guy and a girl says, "Hey, I want to masturbate in front of you," what guy's gonna say no? That's a cool thing. But if a girl, on the other hand, if a guy does it, then it's a sick thing,
But also, why did these people wait so long to really push forward with it?
Yeah, that's in any rape case, I guess. They come out years later, they feel ashamed, they don't know how people are gonna react, or is it they just wanted money? Maybe some of them just wanted, they wanted money. Maybe some of it was real. It's like you said, we weren't there, so it's all hearsay. We can discuss it, but unless you were there, you don't really know.
And like I said, this is something that went on between coworkers,
Yeah, he never did a day in jail either, so I guess if he was never tried for it, I guess, there wasn't enough there. They felt they could convict him of something illegal anyway,
Yeah, I mean, he didn't block a door. He wasn't like, you can't get out to look
Oh, no, it was a choice. He gave him the choice, but, he shouldn't have put him in the position to make the choice, is the point everybody's making. But, let's see, in 2018, he returned to stand-up comedy because, I mean, you're talking, who was it? FX dropped him, HBO dropped him, Netflix dropped him. I mean, they all cut. These are the biggest names, all this money rolling in. Everybody dropped him after that happened. And like I said, his movie
became a pariah. It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, his movie, I Love You, Daddy, they stopped that from being released. They stopped all his concerts. So after 2017...
But do you think as his fame grew, he got more bold in what he did? You know what I mean? And then hit a point where, okay, I'm getting too big. This is going to blow up in my face.
Yeah, I mean, once you reach the top, there's nowhere to go but down. That's what they say. But, I mean, do you think he got accused of this stuff in 2017, then in 2018 he announced his return? Do you think that was too soon? Or do you think he should have took a longer time off in between the scandal?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? You broke up a bit.
In 2017, he was accused of this stuff. I mean, he lost all his big sponsors and he stopped touring. Then in 2018, he announced his return a year later. Do you think that was too soon? A year later, should he have waited longer, or do you think that was appropriate time?
I can only imagine how horrific it was for him to not be able to do it for a year. Imagine a year without. That's a long time.
Yeah, without what you love to do.
That's
Yeah,
measured in dog years. Yeah. And if you listen to the recordings of the people in the room, they're going nuts for him. They.
Oh yeah, he can still fill an audience. 2019, he announced an international tour, and there were a few comics who were like no-name comics who said it was too soon. He should have came back that soon. But I mean, some of the people who did support him coming back were Sarah Silverman, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Jerry Seinfeld. They all supported his return. So I mean, all the biggest names in comedy are still supporting this guy even after the scandal.
Well, my thought is he has to tour. He has to put another hour together. And within that hour, he will address it. I have faith in the guy.
You think he'll talk about it? Yeah. That's dangerous, though, because if he says the wrong thing, he could be brought up on lawsuits, So even though he may want to talk about it, he may not be able to,
I don't think there's any way around it. It's one thing to show up and do a club spot unannounced. It's another thing when eventually he tries to drop another special.
Well, he's done that. He went up to Giggles Comedy Club in Boston there, and Lenny Clark and Mike Clark, who runs it, they let him do a set. They said, hey, he's got a weird fetish, and that's his business. That was their opinion. They let him do a set. So, but he never talked about it in his set. He just did regular stand-up.
Yeah, and there were people that came down on Christine Hurley, I think, because she was there that night and went on before him or after him and didn't address it.
She caught some heat for it? Oh, I see, yeah.
Shut up.
Because her being a woman, she should have said something. Yeah, I mean, how long do you drag stuff on for? At some point, I don't know. We're all sinners, right? We've all sinned. I mean, forgiveness is a thing you got to go for. All right, Louie C.K. put down his influences as Richard Pryor, George Carlin, and Steve Martin. Who were some of your influences in comedy?
Honestly, it was more like kids I grew up around.
Okay, sure. You joking around with your friends?
Love stuff. There was a couple of older, South Country kids that they're dead now, but they were absolutely hilarious. And I really looked up to them. And when I'm at my best doing a set, I can feel that.
Yeah, it's like you're joking around with your friends up there, right? It's not. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Even Eddie Murphy, you mentioned his special. Me and my friends is like, everything we throw quotes, every situation we use a quote from that film. I mean, that's what you did,
Right. My best compliment I get is when people say, wow, did you know what you were going to say up there? And you're the same guy up there that you are out front.
Right.
And that was the trick. You learn to be natural,
Yeah.
I see new people that are doing it, and I'm like, are you trying to make your sneakers laugh or the people?
Yeah. I had one kid, he was looking at the floor, telling jokes to the floor. I'm like, the floor is not going to respond. You got to look at the audience, man. Okay,
Yeah. It's
But
hard. It's hard.
well,
know,
you mentioned learning,
that
being,
silence.
you mentioned about learning the lenses and learning the light. Well, he actually worked at a local access TV, and that's what gave him the training. And from the training he got from that, he started to make short films.
Yeah, he's just a nerd. You know, that's what it takes.
Yeah, at 17 years old, he directed the short film Trash Day. And actually, a New York university showed interest in Trash Day, and they wanted him to be a filmmaker, and instead he chose to pursue stand-up comedy. So, I mean, his films are already getting interest at 17. Thing. What's that?
I think that's the noble thing. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, when I'm dead and gone, I'd like to be remembered as a stand-up.
Comic
but
first,
also someone who produced content, too.
Right,
you know?
right. So let's see, 1985, he did an open mic in Boston. They gave him 5 minutes, but he only had 2 minutes of material, and he bombed. And he didn't try it again for 2 years after that. I mean, did you bomb when you first started going, or did you get at it right off?
Oh, I ate a bag of.
See, people, they don't realize you got to get over that. Yeah, everybody, you can be funny, but you got to learn the art. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: when I went up the first time and I bombed, it didn't bother me. I was relieved because then I got off and I said, "Now I know what I'm up against."
Yeah, right. Now you know what you're gonna learn.
That first one doesn't count.
Right.
You know. Or I see people, they think they get lucky and have a great set their first time, and then they can't repeat it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, every night's different. It was the same night every night. It'd get boring. Every crowd's different, you know? They may laugh one night and not the next. You don't know. That's half the fun.
You know how it is. You can crush on a Thursday, and on a Friday do identical set and eat it. You know?
All right, so he started seeing some success when he started back 2 years later. He started performing with acts like Lenny Clark and Dennis Leary. Later, he went on to open for Jerry Seinfeld. 1993, did another short film called Ice Cream. In 1993, he unsuccessfully tried out for Saturday Night Live, so I guess that's one of the black eyes in his storied comedy career. Saturday Night Live wouldn't put him on; they didn't think he was funny.
I'm sure they wouldn't take me either.
Well, I'm sure they'd take him now. He's a big star. Back then, they didn't think he was good enough. He was a writer for the Dana Carvey Show, and after the stand-up from '98 to 2004, he really started focusing on filmmaking. That was his big thing.
Was he still doing stand-up all the while?
Yeah, he was still doing his shows, but his main focus was the film. He took advice from George Carlin to write new jokes every year. I mean, how often do you come up with new material, or do you stick with your set list for how long do you think?
I try to do as many mics as I can in a week.
Yeah.
I have a really loose schedule. I'm a stay-at-home dad, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then at night I hit mics, or I go do my book spots, or I podcast, or whatever I do, and I just try to do something every night. But I always say, if you're in an open mic, you should throw something new in the mix. You know?
Sure, something new, right.
I record all my sets, and I'm always finding little things that will come off the top of my head just riffing, but then that will end up in the set later on. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to create as you go. I don't put too much pen to paper. It's more like I'll just list what the bits are.
That's a good idea, recording yourself, yeah.
If I'm doing, say, even 5 minutes, it'll be a list of 3 things. It'll just say this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another thing is when I first started, to this day, one of my peeves is seeing people go up there with notes. I think it just cracks the veneer, and it makes it look the difference between show business and no business, you know? If you can't remember it, that's your problem, and you have to learn to remember your shit, you know?
Well, I noticed recording myself, they only give you 5 minutes, and I was trying to talk fast to fit as much in the 5 minutes as I could, and I learned I had to slow down and tell less jokes and make them funny. I was talking way too fast, but didn't realize it, you know? I had to record myself to realize I was doing that. Let's see, in 2008 he got divorced, and he said that gave him a whole new treasure trove of new material, so, I mean, divorce is tough, you gotta laugh at it. I mean, why do you think so many comics look to, the pain in their life to find laughter?
I always believe no struggle, no funny. You know?
Right.
That's when I see, I'll see some clever new open micer, some little nerdy kid who never missed a meal.
Yeah.
It's like that. Technically, it's funny, but I can't really. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's like the comedy studio mentioned. That's more of a thinking man, college preppy type of thing than you got the other, a road comic is more of a blue collar, street kind of funny. And, you're one or the other. You can't be both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm known as like a saloon comic in Boston,
Right.
Like, I'm the kind of guy that'll send up first if the hockey game just ended to break through it, And, proud of that skill. Not everybody can do that,
Sure.
I'm kind of like a bit of a carnival barker in a way.
Everybody's different, yeah.
And
There's high energy, low energy. I mean, there's all,
Yeah, I'm pretty high energy. I'm all over the place. So lately, I've kind of just been staying stationary with the bike. And what I'm learning is it shows me where my punchlines are, and it cuts the fat off.
Sure.
And from there, I start moving a little bit more. But when I take the mic out and move all over, I'm covering too much space. I'm putting too many beats in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always say, film everything, I think. It's not just hearing it, it's looking at it.
Just to look at it, see what's going on. All right, let's get to the fans here and see what the fans had to say about Louie C.K. You want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Ken Buzzle wrote in. He saw him at Foxwoods and he killed all night. Have you ever seen him live?
I have not. Wait, I did. I saw him. He showed up at the Burren one night.
Really?
It was pre-scandal.
So it was like a small venue you seen him in then, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's always cool when you see him in the
right there.
intimate places.
I'm not going to bother him. I'm just going to watch him do his set, All
right. Rich Man writes in, suck a bag of dicks. What do you remember about that?
Yeah, go to hell. Go to hell. Grow up. Just fucking grow up.
Well, no, that was one of his bits, wasn't it? Suck a bag of dicks,
I thought you were saying that was...
No, Rich Man, that was one of Louie's... That was one of Louie's things. That's like the concept of having a bag of dicks was just funny,
Oh, absolutely. When you asked me how my first set went, that's what I said. A hockey bag full of dicks.
All right. Jocelyn Napoli writes in, the different names he would name his children, like ladies and gentlemen. He said, here's my son, ladies and gentlemen, naming his kid that. I don't remember what special that was on, but let's see. Billy Bingo Dennis wrote in the night that he bumped me at the comic strip and went on to explain that he wanted to kill deer by fucking him in the ass and giving him AIDS. And if any other comic did that material, that would have been their last night on the stage. So, I mean, he's got different rules because he made. Anybody else would talk about that on stage, they wouldn't get booked again, but he does it and nobody says nothing,
Well, I think that, like, he built a bridge to people,
Sure.
You or me couldn't go up in front of, like, a full room.
Yeah, we don't have the name that he does, right?
Maybe you can get away with it in front of comics.
Right.
Like, I've had instances where I'll run a bit that I think is a little too edgy, and the comics are like, no, it's great, do it.
Yeah,
and they laugh, but then you do it at like a Chinese restaurant on the South Shore, and you're walking old people.
You got to pick and choose your audience, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, bars are different than pro shows, for sure.
A comic will walk you to the edge, push you over every time.
All right.
I've done it. Like, yeah, go ahead, try it. Just because I want to see them.
They'll dare you, right? Yeah. Sean Hennessy writes in Skankfest 2019. Do you know what that is?
Absolutely.
What is Skankfest 2019?
It's a comedy festival put on by the Legion of Skanks podcast. That's Big J. Okerson. What's his name? Jesus, the Puerto Rican rattlesnake.
So was Louie involved in it, or how does it relate to Louie?
He showed up.
Oh, okay, so he showed up too. Oh, okay, all right. So they remember him from there. Let's see. Nick Ortolini writes in, when he honked one out in front of me and then destroyed my career. So he's making a joke of the masturbation reference there, I guess.
Well, I know that guy.
Okay.
I know Nick Ortolani. If Whole Foods was a movie, he'd be an extra.
Uh-huh. He's one of those.
So, I mean, that makes sense coming from him.
All right. Lisa Carey Hignan writes in, he was phenomenal in American Hustle. A shame being such an a-hole eclipses his talent. Now, he lost a lot of fans, which, I mean, he's still got plenty left. But
you got to take it on the chin,
Yeah. I mean, he did it. He apologized. Let's see. What's going on in the background there? What do you got going on over there?
I'm sorry, I'm on the train.
Yeah, on the train, all right. Cass Smiley writes in he's a loser. So...
Well, you put a lot of thought into that one.
Well, I guess that's the female point. You know, if a guy sleeps with 3 girls in one night, he's a stud, and if a girl does it, she's a slut. So, I mean, that's... I think the girls are going to take the opinion he's a loser, while guys can probably understand it a little better, right?
For the course.
All right.
I mean, you just have to take it on the chin. You're going to get those comments. You're going to get those people that feel like that, you know?
Right.
And also, we're men. We can never understand what it is to, you know, be on the other end of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
As a woman, we can never wrap our heads around it.
Yeah, we never
you know?
understand what they went through, no.
I think of it too, like, you know, they're smaller creatures, you know, that's
so,
gravity, you know?
Kristen Key writes in, the time 5 brave comedians came forward and exposed them for sexual harassment, that was awesome. So, basically, you got the women here are taking the side that he's a pig, and the men are taking the side that, you know, we understand he gave him the choice, and, you know, he shouldn't be, for the rest of his life, you know.
Oh, I think it's so unjust, but here's the thing, if all he did was just try to have just normal sex with them, would he be in this position? It's just because there's a weird kink to it that...
Well, look at Bill Cosby. I mean, a lot of those, I mean...
That's a little, yeah, he was knocking them out.
I mean, his story was they knew they were taking the drugs. They were taking drugs with them. They knew what was going on, but that don't give them the right to rape them, obviously. But, I mean...
Oh, absolutely
If you put yourself into a bad situation and bad things happen, you know, you got to take some responsibility, too, so... All right, your buddy Kenny Capozzi writes in, he made the shit out of my coffee. Is that a routine of his or something, or?
I don't know. I can't remember, but
he must have done a joke about coffee or something. Drew Gormley writes in, small-shouldered women getting in a man's car on a date. Where are we going? The man staring to your death statistically. So statistically, you jump in a guy's car, it's not a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, unless he's an Uber driver.
Unless he's an Uber, then you got it on it. All right, we end off every show with some trivia. I'm going to hit you with 3 trivia questions about Louie C.K. Nobody ever does good at trivia, but it's informative. You ready?
Okay.
All right, trivia 1. His parents met at Harvard in Boston. He spent his adult life living in Boston, but where did he spend his childhood growing up?
Mexico.
Mexico it was. You're 1 for 1. Boom. All right. He graduated in Newton, Massachusetts High School with what other celebrity? So he went to high school in Newton, Massachusetts. He graduated, and there was another celebrity in his graduating class. Who was it?
I know Rogan lived there for a time, but I don't think they're that close in age.
No.
Who was it? I want to know.
It was actually Matthew LeBlanc from Friends. I had no idea he grew up in Newton, Mass. Until I read that. But I guess they were in the same graduating class in Newton. All right, you're 1 for 2. The tiebreaker number 3. What celebrity game show did he appear on?
Oh, jeez.
Now, there's only a few game shows on TV.
Hollywood Squares is the only one I can think of.
No, it was Jeopardy he was on. He actually was on Jeopardy, and he donated his winnings to charity, so that was cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's an attestament that the guy's really bright. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never did good on that. That's for, like, college people, Jeopardy. I never did good on that. All right. Tommy, I want to thank you for being on Funny Like a Clown podcast. Before we go, I'll give you the stage. You being a fan of Louie C.K., what would you want other fans to know about him?
Say that again. One more time.
You being a fan of Louie C.K., what would you want other fans to know about him?
He's a dad. He's apparently a really good one. He raises children well. At the end of the day, you know, no one was raped. I think it's sad what happened to the guy in his career. However, I understand 100% the sentiment on the other side of the fence. And I can't argue that at all. I can't defend, because I don't know what it is to, you know, be victimized like that.
Right, you don't know what it's like to be a woman. You said it, right?
I don't. And I hope the guy all the best, you know, and he'll come back slowly. And like I said, my hope is he does a special and he addresses it, and that's it. And
right. They say if you deny it, that's worse. If you look for forgiveness, people will forgive.
Yeah. Time heals all, you know.
That's what they say.
Hey, I just want to plug the new podcast. It's The Bostonian and the Beast.
Yep.
You can find it on DNN, Dirt Net News. That's the YouTube channel. It's me and myself, Mitty and Picardo. It's a lot of fun, having a whole bunch of different comics, and also incorporating sketch in video production into the podcast, along with clips of stand-up from our guests. So I'm out and about filming people and just trying to bring a different element to a podcast that's a little more
different.
Just something different.
Something different, yeah. Different selves. Well, good luck with that.
All right.
I want to thank you for being on Funny Like Clown podcast. And we'll see you on the comedy scene soon.
All right, Dennis. Be good. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Tommy O.D. talking about Louie C.K. Certainly a talented but controversial career. I mean, you know, the man didn't go to jail. There were no charges because, you know, he wasn't doing anything illegal. He was giving them the choice. They made the choice to do it. You know, I mean, should he have put him in? Should he use his celebrity status to make him make that choice? You know, they should have never been put in that position to make the choice. But, you know, like I said, I mean, if a girl goes in and, you know, she wants to be in a movie and the guy says, you got to sleep with me to do it, and she chooses to sleep with him, that's her choice, okay? Now, he should have never made her make that choice. She should have been booked on her talent, not on whether she'd sleep with him. But if she makes the choice to do it, there's nothing illegal. So, well, he's not illegal. I guess you could say he did some creepy stuff, but, you know, hey, the Bible says we're all sinners, and does he stand up, take responsibility, and, you know, look for forgiveness, or does he try to play innocent and, you know, think he did nothing wrong? But if he's already come out and he admitted that, you know, he did do something wrong, he used his celebrity status, so I guess, is it in you to forgive him, or is it not in you to forgive him, and, you know, you think he's a creep? That's a personal choice you get to make, and everybody's different, so I guess some people stick by him and some people won't. All right, this is Funny Like Clown podcast. Hey, there's some ups and downs in comedy. Keep laughing. Until next time, laughter is still the best medicine, so smile. We'll see you next week. Bye.